That's sweet. Just obviously a roll call, really. Having seen the squad, what's the issue with Jack Murchie? What's up?
Oh, he's going to be seeing a specialist, mate, today. The scans come back. It's not too clear at the moment, but we think it's a meniscus injury.
That's not good, is it?
No, no. It never seems to be, does it, when we get kind of any kind of knee issue or anything like that. So, yeah, he had a little bit of a knee issue before where his knee kept locking, but we think this is kind of a little bit where the cartilage has been kind of freeing and it's been fine, but then it's been catching, so then it's been locking on him. So the specialist is going to have a look at the imaging because the imaging didn't come through too clear on the first one.
What's the timeline for those sort of issues generally?
Oh, I don't know. They can be from anywhere normally between 8 weeks, 4 months, plus sometimes. It just depends kind of the complications in and around them. So we'll see the specialist first before we jump into any timeline on it. And fingers crossed it's the best case scenario.
If it's not, how much of a blow is that? Because when he's played, he's played really well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he started to find his feet. I think if you look back to the Catalan game where he actually got injured there and came out, he was just starting to hit his form, wasn't he? Starting to play real well. But then obviously he's come back, and obviously the last 2 weeks he's been off a little bit, but you expect that when he's not played for a number of weeks while he's finding his feet again. So it's unfortunate he's been injured after his second game again because he's not been able to build on that performance and get better.
Elliot Wallace?
Yeah.
What's the situation with him?
Oh, just a selection this week. He's only a young player, mate, and he's not played loads of Super League games. And one thing you find with young players is they do have inconsistencies and they will make errors at some point. But the one thing is sometimes they just need to come out, have a little bit of a break, a little bit of a reset, and then go again from there. And that's all it is with Elliot. He's a good kid, mate. He's going to be a good player.
And Ads Milner, is that an injury issue?
Oh yeah, he's had a little bit of a back issue, but I thought on the back of Deek's performance last week, I thought he did really, really well. So I thought he deserves to hold his position, mate, more so than anything else. And plus it'll help Milnes get fully fit because he's been running around for about a month now, Milnes, where he's been struggling a little bit. So this will obviously help him. And while Deeks is in good form, it's perfect for it.
He's had a back injury, a back issue, hasn't he? Sort of earlier on in his career. Is this an exacerbation of that?
Yeah, he's a bit of a warrior, isn't he? He's played about 300 odd games now. So when you're playing 300 odd games at Super League level, at the intensity is your body's going to take some wear and tear. Unfortunately, Mills has done that, and Mills doesn't go about things 50-50. He's 100%. He's all in. He's kind of, and he's like training, and to be fair to him, he's fully committed. So you can tell why his body's kind of took a bit of a battering.
I've always thought he's quite tall for a hooker, isn't he? He's quite tall to be bending down all the time.
Yeah, he's a big body. They're what you want in the middle of the field, aren't they? So you're running into big guys like that. So yeah, he can handle himself defensively.
Jake Connor, is he good to go for this week?
Yeah. He'll come back into obviously into the squad. Obviously we named him last week, but obviously he wasn't going to be playing last week, so he'll come back into the mix this week.
I think that's it pretty much, unless you can tell me about anyone else who's ruled out.
Anyone else? Check with Esan, mate. He's assistant coach, Esan, you see. So he picks the squad, don't you? Who you dropping?
No one. Oh, Andre Savelio, could this be the week for him?
Yeah, he's not going to play. He's in the squad, mate. He's not going to play. We're just building Dre back up. It'd be good at some point to get him in, and obviously with the injury to Merch now, that might be an opportunity for him to get in, but we're well aware of he's not played a game since last year, so it's a big ask just to throw him in. He's only just starting to increase his training loads as well, so we've got to do it at the right time.
Because he'd had a bit of a setback, hadn't he, last week? Is it a case of trying to get weeks into him where he's tracking positively and not negatively now?
Just consistently training, getting them loads up, and then once we start to see that, and we can see that his body's starting to hold up and be in good condition, then we can get him back into games. The one thing we don't want is him to come back, play 20 minutes, and then he's out for the rest of the year on the back of it. We've got to be pretty smart because of the amount of time that he's actually had off.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are very excited to see him on the pitch. I'm sure you are as well. Adam Swift, is he progressing as you like at the moment? Yeah,
he's very early, mate. Very early stages. So he's going to be a while, mate. To be fair, he's still talking to specialists and things like that as well about which was the best way and the quickest way to kind of get back. But again, it'll heal when it heals, mate.
is the potential for surgery on that?
Oh no, it doesn't. It doesn't need the surgery from what the first specialist has told us. So which is a positive. So we'll see now when he actually goes face to face with the consultant, because he's done the imaging and all that kind of stuff, and over the phone they've told him where he's at. We'll see as we go forward now. But yeah, that was more positive that he didn't need the surgery.
So obviously, since we last spoke, we've now had the confirmed impending departures of Luke Yates and Esan Marsters. How much of a blow is it to be losing those guys at the end of this season?
Is he leaving, JD? Yeah, no.
Don't worry, he'll get his chance in a minute.
Yeah. No, massive for us. Esan knows we brought him across here to try and build a kind of a team and want to kind of keep that consistency. Unfortunately, we've not been able to do that. The club haven't been able to come to an agreement with Esan. Esan's done the right thing by what he thinks for himself and his family, which is always the number one kind of priority for a rugby league player. But the one thing I know about Esan is he's come across here, he's improved, he's got better, and he kind of deserves now what he's going to get on the back end of that. And we just want him to get his head down and work hard and finish the season real well, which he will do. He's a good kid and he's a good pro, is Esan. So yeah, devastating. Obviously, Yates has been with me for a long period of time, Yates. So again, another one where you're kind of upset. When you kind of build relationships with people and you like the kind of guys, it's difficult to see them go, because it's always the case if you ended up having to start again. I'd love nothing more than Esan and Yatesy to be here, because they're two of your best players and you can build on that. But it seems like what's happening every year is we're losing these kind of players. You go back to kind of the Ricky Latelli, the Danny Levi's, the Tio. We're not being able to build or sustain anything what we want to do, which is unfortunate. But again, it is part of the game as well when you're dealing with a salary cap sport. But yeah, the club haven't been able to sort anything out with Esan, so Esan's had to do what he felt was best for him, and obviously we support Esan in that as well. There's no problems with Esan doing that. That's his job, mate.
So what needs to change to be able to keep hold of these players and make sure that the hard work you're putting into them early on doesn't go to waste?
Yeah, I think if you look at a lot of players, we've come here and then they've improved, but then they've gone elsewhere. If you look at like Oliver Russell's obviously going to be leaving us at the end of the year as well, and the amount of work that's gone into Oliver Russell in 3 years. You look at Ollie Wilson, Samuel, Owen Trout, people like them who've kind of left us as well, who've been here and started to improve, and then they've gone somewhere else. The big thing, and ultimately it comes down to money, basically, doesn't it? It's there. And it's a salary cap sport as well, and it's probably one for a little bit bigger than me as well, to be fair, because it's got to be a full club thing, and got to be kind of running the right way to be able to contain players like these going forward, mate.
So how far down the line are you regarding potential replacements?
Yeah, again, that's another that obviously the club thing we have a look at and we discuss certain things, and like Richard goes out and then he negotiates or discusses with them people about kind of the targets that we want, and then we try and build on that. So it becomes difficult when you look at the market and then there's not very many of them around, and then obviously everyone wants that player and they all want to start throwing more and more money at them. It becomes very difficult. You've kind of got to be a little bit patient sometimes as well. I didn't want Esan to go. Esan didn't want to go, really, did you? So go on, mate.
Oh yeah. Obviously, it was just I think between my manager and the club, it was a thing that popped up early on in the year, and we knew that we were going to get offers from elsewhere, but I think at the end of the day, it just came down to my family and what was best for them. So obviously it's it's going to be a bit of a change for me, but I've got a job at Huddersfield to do this year, and we've still got a long way in the season. So my focus is just on Huddersfield at the moment, and I'd just like to keep it that way at the moment. So.
And
was it a decision, Esan, that you wrestled with?
Yeah, obviously, you don't like to go elsewhere when stuff is working, but like I said, at the end of the day, it just came down to my family and what was best for them. And obviously Salford's a really good team, and they're going well this year as well. So but like I said, I'm looking more forward to this year and what we can do with this team here, because what we have in our team is special, and I think one thing money can't buy is the camaraderie with your teammates as well. Like I made, you know, really good friends here, and friends that I'll have for a long time. So that was pretty difficult. But like I said, I'm still here this year. Like, you know, I'm training hard and just doing all the right things. So just want to put all my effort into just focusing, you know, on this year as well.
Also, do you think fans sometimes forget that it is an occupation? It is a job for these players, and like their jobs, 9 to 5 jobs, if someone offered them an extra 30k to go somewhere else, they probably would.
Yeah, and then you look at kind of the difficult thing for us is obviously we'd have liked Esan to build on kind of the performances that he's doing this year, because Esan's going to get better. He's 27 years of age, Esan, and he's going to get better, and that's how you kind of build your teams and build winning teams. But when you have to keep changing, or you keep having to bring somebody else back in, we have to start again. It was something we spoke about, didn't we, when you come in, and we talked about like Ricky going, and we ultimately brought Esan in basically to replace Ricky in there. Esan's done a great job, and it took you a while, didn't it, to find your feet, get his family comfortable over here, and then this year he's been flying. It's hit the straps, and now you want to continue to keep building on that. But again, we're going to have to look at something different and find somebody that will fit the mould for us, that we can build again. But potentially, you are starting again to a certain extent. And this is the difficult thing probably supporters don't see or don't understand is players are like them. They have a job and they have a career. And rugby league isn't a career that you can play till you're 65. So you need to kind of make the most of your opportunities. And once you get probably a good salary put in front of you, and if your present club can't match that, well, you've got to balance that up about what's the right thing, what are you in this game for? And yeah, you're in it to compete and you're in it to win things as well, but you're also in it to provide a living and a future for your family and like for your children. And it's like when we talk about things happening to people off the field, which affect them on the field, people don't think that rugby players are human, that they're just these superhuman athletes that you see on the field and nothing affects them. But things do affect them. It's tough when you're talking to. It was tough for you last week when it's come and talk to us about getting accepting a contract elsewhere, and then that's playing on your mind when you're going into games and things like that as well. So yeah, it's tough. Players are human beings, and probably supporters and people like that would be should be well versed to understand that and know that as well.
I'll come back to Esan in a moment. What are just obviously ahead of this week? Was it 5 straight losses in all comps? How do you assess the situation at the moment? Yeah,
you look through it. If you look through it properly in detail, you go to the St Helens game. We was on a little bit of a roll going into St Helens game. They scored 2, we scored 2 tries in that game. We lose by a Johnny Lomax, probably a top-end player who's on really good money. We go to Lee last week. We lose 16-10. But again, it was 2 tries each. The difference probably in there is somebody like a Moylan and a Lamb-type player. Salford, 18-16. They scored 3, we scored 3. It's not that we're not in them games. We're in them games. And we're competing to win them games. We knew Salford, for example, would start fast. And then we knew we'd be able to catch them at the back end of the game if we did the right things. We just give them too much of a start, didn't we? At the start of that game. So unfortunately, things have not gone our way in them little small kind of details of what you want to nail them games. The Wigan game, I thought we were pretty good for large parts of that game until second half. We just kind of capitulated a little bit. And then the Warrington game was, we didn't kind of see that coming. We didn't start the game the way we kind of wanted to and the way we wanted to play. I think that was pretty clear by what we all spoke about. We can learn from that, but again, we got another team to another semi-final, which is a positive, but people don't probably seem to think that's a positive. But that's a big thing. You look over the last 4 years, how many teams have played in semi-finals? How many teams? We've been twice, and if you count the final once, from a club that wasn't a set top 4 club. So in many ways, the boys are doing a pretty decent job. And then you look at them tight scores and go, if we'd have nicked 1 or 2 of them, we're actually sat right up there. That's why this game, I think this weekend's a really big game for us, because we win this, it pulls us back in to that kind of pack, really. The league's a tough league. No game's an easy game anymore. But yeah, we just need to deal with what we're doing. Unfortunately, We've lost them games. We're not a million miles away by any stretch of the imagination. What everyone will tell you. You talk to the players inside here, we all know it. We know we're not a million miles away. We just know we need to be better in certain areas of the game to make sure we turn them kind of close losses into wins, really.
I guess every game's going to be a big game after 5 losses, but
yeah.
Do you sense that Friday's game could be a springboard to sort of reset and set you back on your way?
I think that's what we spoke about this morning, about it being about us and about us doing our kind of job and playing to our strengths. I thought we did that really well last week. I thought last week was a pretty tough game, to be fair, and I thought we played more as a team, didn't we, last week, and we did our own jobs for each other, and all we're asking for is that level of commitment and that level of desire and effort week in, week out. And if you play like that, then I'm sure with the talent that we've got, we'll be more than good enough to pinch them wins.
It'll be the 3rd time you play Hull.
Yeah.
Normally you'd say you'd be sick of the sight of them, but after the 2 previous results, probably not so. But how important is it that you don't take anything for granted against them this week?
Yeah, this is nothing about the games that have gone before. This is just about us and this week, and kind of what we want to do and what we want to get out of this week. There's no point in looking back at them 2 games. It's about this week and this week only, and going forward from there.
And you'll watch their game against Cass. What did you take away from that, and what have you taken away from the previous 2 encounters? Do you see them as an improving side from the last 2 games?
Yeah, you look at the Cass game, and if you look into it from a stat point of view, Hull won basically the majority of the stats, which was quite strange when Castleford basically took their opportunities and Hull didn't get many opportunities. But when they did get some opportunities, they took them. Obviously, they've got some good players there. You look at Truman; they've not got a bad squad at all. When you kind of look through them, Liagi, Sal, people like them, Herman Esse, Danny Houghton's always been a stalwart of a player, and then they've got them young players trying to come in, so we know they're going to be kind of enthusiastic and we know they're going to compete. What we need to be is just at our best to do our job, mate.
Esan, then what I was just saying, you had to break the news to the squad. How was that for you? Was it quite emotional?
Yeah, it was. Just obviously telling some of my close mates that I'm going to be leaving next year was a bit tough. Like I said, like the camaraderie, and I think what we went through pre-season, it plays a part in the relationships that you have in the team. I think people don't realise like the work you put in before the season comes along. It takes a toll on players, but I think when you do it together and as one team, it does take effect on you. So I think just telling some of the boys that I was leaving next year kind of hurt, but I think for myself, just looking forward to a different, a new challenge, and like I said, I'm just focused more so on this year to perform for Huddersfield.
So what was the reaction of the boys when you told them?
Yeah, some of them were happy for me. I think most of them were happy for me. I think securing a long-term contract with Salford was a surprise for them, because it's something that just came about. And they knew, I think, clubs were going to come at around that May 1st time. So I think, yeah, just like I said, just leaving some of the boys that I'm close with, like Kev and, Jake and Tui, all those boys that, I'm close with, it's going to be hard to leave. So, but like I said, I'm just really happy that I've secured, something long-term for my family, because, not many people know they do sacrifice a lot. I'm pretty much at the gym every day just to try and work on stuff to do, but do my recoveries, and people don't see that. They don't see the sacrifices that I make as a player as well. So and for my family, it's just a nice reward for them, especially for my wife. It's hard for her to be over here when her family's over in another country. So I'm just happy that I get to look after my children and my wife as well. So.
And you've kicked on so much this year, haven't you? You've been unplayable at times. I think about that game at Headingley where you were absolutely fantastic. How happy have you been with your own form, and what do you put it down to this year?
I think it just comes down to everything. I think preparation is the massive one for me. I think when you look back when I was 21, 22, I think I just had no preparation. I just thought I could rock up to games and just play, and I think that just comes with age. Like I was talking to my wife, as I think about other players that did it before me, like older players. I always question why they did this, why they did that. But now, being an older player now, I sort of learnt you have to do all those small things right, like recovery, eating well, you know, getting your body to move a lot more better. So I think that just comes with maturity. And if I look back now, yeah, I just would say just to work hard. And I felt like I've done this in this off season, just worked really hard to, you know, get myself in a position to set myself up for a good year. So like I said, it's still a long year. It's still we still got a few games to play, a few hard games to play as well. So I'm just looking forward to, you know, obviously finishing this year with the boys and just having a good time while I'm doing it as well. So.
And what's your assessment of Hull FC ahead of Friday?
Yeah, you know, they've got a tough squad. Like if you look around, like Watto said, they got Truman, they got SAS, they're playing as well, playing good football for them. Like I said, they're just going to be a team that's just going to turn up, and whatever team turns up on the day is going to win the game pretty much. So I know the boys are confident in our ability, and I'm confident as well we can, you know, go and get the win. So like I said, as long as we turn up on the day, I think everything will go right for us.
Just lastly for me, Esan, do you sense that a victory on Friday would be just the kickstart that you need as a group?
Yeah, definitely. Especially after the loss to Warrington, that really hurt us, and then having the loss last week, I think we took a step forward into what we want to build. But definitely, it'll lift the boys this week if we get a win, and we'll get the week off next week, which will help as well. But we're just mostly focused on playing this game this week. So I know the boys are going to put in the effort this week, and we're really going to dig in.
Good luck, guys. I'll see you over there on Friday. That's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah. Cheers, JD. Losing days.
Hey guys, just a few for Watto, please.
James.
Inevitably, given recent results, there have been some fans questioning your position. Are you feeling that extra pressure and scrutiny at the moment?
Yeah, mate, I don't read it and I don't see it, so it doesn't really bother me. I'm not going to take advice from people who never achieved anything or want to kind of have a little bit of a pot shot at certain things. Somebody said something to me the other day, and it was like, oh, I must be wrong that when we came to this club that we were playing in grand finals and Challenge Cup finals before we got here. We wasn't doing that. We definitely hadn't played in 2 semi-finals in 4 years, and getting to finals, they're still big occasions. My thing is not to kind of worry or start trying to prove kind of other people wrong. It's just about doing my job and doing the best of it, doing the best of my ability to give the players of what they need going into games at a weekend. And if the club and the group feel that I'm the right person for it, then I'm the right person for it. I'm not really worried about what anybody else says, or I know what I do and what I'm about as a person. What people say, I don't know, on Instagram these days or anything else other than that, not really bothered, mate, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Do you feel the expectations are unrealistic from some people? Yeah.
See, I don't know. People, once you start doing things and people will say, oh, well, you've been here 4 years now, we should be winning it. Well, when was you winning a comp before? We didn't come here because we were winning a comp, so what, try and build things. And what we were saying before about losing some of your best players at the end of the year doesn't kind of help in that situation. My job, like I say, is to do the job to the best of my ability to make sure that the players are ready at a weekend. And as long as I'm doing that and I'm respected by the players, and I'm giving them the right things, then I'm doing my job. What I can't control is what people say on the outside. I know what effort the boys are doing. I know how hard they work on the inside of here. So, and I have no problem with this playing group here. There's hell of a lot of close games. Would we have loved to have won them? If we won them 3 games, would they all be saying it? Because we'd be sat, what, 16? We'd be sat, what, pretty top?
Yeah.
At 16 points. So again, when you've got to have a balance of where you actually are and how you've actually got there. So to lose 3 games by, what, less than 2 points, well, they could have gone either way there. A little bit of smarts by us, and they probably go that way. We probably potentially should win the game at Saints. We potentially win the game last week. It's the small margins at this kind of level. People are just pretty quick to kind of jump on people, and when it's not going so well, people want to rip you apart and tear you down. That's why I don't buy into all that noise. I've always been taught that is just focus on what I'm doing. If I get caught up in that, it'll start affecting me in what I'm trying to do and what team you're selecting and all that kind of stuff. And I need to be pretty clear. If I see the boys working hard and trying the best, I've not got a problem.
Yeah, as you said, patience is is in short supply in it from the outside, but will that matter inside? Do you think you'll be afforded the time to see this project through?
Again, that's all on them and their kind of decisions. And you want, when people are on the inside, it's about making good decisions based on facts, not just based on well we didn't win the competition this year. Well, you tell me which teams have been winning the competition. I know, for example, for however many years, St Helens and Wigan have been at the top end of the table. They're a top 4 club. You look at the semi-finals over this year. Hull KR was in there again. They've been in there now, in and around that arena now for the past 6 to 7 years. Catalan are very similar in terms of that. And you have to. If winning was easy, everyone would just do it. If winning was easy, mate, everyone would do it. Do we want to win? 100%. That's what we're here for. We're not here just to tide ourselves over. We're ambitious and we've got a determination to win and compete to win things. That's always at the forefront. But obviously there's always, like you say, patience is not always there. But listen, it'll be what it'll be. I think over the years and the amount of players that we have lost and things like that, we've actually done all right. We bounced back in 22. Then this year we've got to a semi-final. We don't know where we're going to finish this year at the moment. Like you say, if we'd have won them 3 games, we'd have been sat on the top of the tree, more or less, at this moment in time. So we're not a million miles away with this group. We just need to make sure that we get all the best players out on the field and then just tidy up on small little areas.
Like you say, it does seem like it's just outside noise at the minute, so you're not fearing for your job or anything like that at this moment in time?
Mate, I think I'm getting sacked every week. I've always been like, as a player, I was always told to... As a player, I learnt this very early off some great players about playing every game as if it's your last ever game. And I don't know what it is. I still hold that as a coach as well. So every game was going to be your last ever game. You never knew what was going to... It could have been form where you're not going to get selected the week after. It could have been injury that could have kind of finished you. I had a really kind of good kind of cohort of people in and around me when I was growing up as a player who basically showed me how to do things and what it was about being a leader and how you carried yourself. And I always hold that core. So when you're a coach, I think when a player, it was always you're worried about being dropped or being injured. Now as a coach, it's like it's about you doing your job and getting the team right, but probably always worrying that it's a short career potentially. And I think I've been very lucky and very honoured to kind of represent the teams that I have represented and been in it for 10 years now as a head coach. Yeah, it just sneaks in on the back there. Yeah.
Do you still feel that you're the right man to get this club to where it wants to get to?
Yeah, mate. As long as the players, like I say, are doing the right things and trying the best and playing to finger, I'll always feel confident of that. I'll always believe in the group of players that we have. I'm probably very different than most. I have a relationship and I do care about kind of the players that we get, but it's no life. It's like Esan, our relationship over the last 2 years has grown and been really good, pretty close to how I have a relationship with Tue in most parts. But at the end of the day, I'm a coach and he's a player, and there has to be a little bit of a line in between that. So yeah, you learn and you grow relationships and you move on as well through life.
Do you take strength from getting an upturn in results like last year after going through that challenging spell?
Yeah, I think we had a real tough start to the season this year with the amount of away games, and we're showing a kind of real resilience as a group of players. We just need to get back to that. The last 4 weeks beforehand, we probably weren't playing fully as a team. We'd kind of fell away from it, hadn't we? But last week we got back to that. So hopefully, again, we continue this week, pick up the win, and then that helps us move forward.
Yeah. Just finally, are you confident in this group that you can turn it around together and make that top 6?
Yeah, mate. I believe in the players. I believe in the players that we bring in. There's nobody that I don't believe in. There's some players that are not playing in the team who I believe could do a good job. But it's my job to pick a 17 to win. But yeah, I have no qualms with this group whatsoever. I think this group's a really good group.